to you all. I will keep the clothes on so that my clumsy English is more, can I say, you can accept it more. But anyhow, is there somebody who was last year in Atlanta?
No.
Oh, hearing something about this project. I know.
Just 1 year.
Yeah, okay, so
You were there as well.
I was at Atlanta.
the very first part of this presentation is just to tell the audience what is going on there, but I'm not very willing to go deep in that technical side. I'm trying to give you 10 lessons we learned of the process, and let's see what happens. I will put 20 minutes in my system. So the question is, what was done? During 2 years, we ran or we administered 2 experimental studies in Helsinki University in theological faculty to enhance the biblical Hebrew language proficiency. The guys in the faculty, they are very active in this area, and there are very good sites of biblical Greek already, and good material for Hebrew too. But this was something extra. And what happened in the independent final test, which was independent on this testing process, the marks in the experimental group were phenomenally higher than normal. What happened, why, and what we learned in the process. So some ideas from the theoretical background. This very heavy result that it is not the study test which makes the process, but it is actually testing. And now the researchers, the brain researchers, they are kind of having fight why it works. There are 2 main ideas. The other one is when we are testing, we are making so strong memory in the brain that it easily comes when we are asking again the same question. And the other part, they said that it may be, the reason may be that when we are creating the memory with testing, we have many paths to the same memory, so we can easily get it back from the memory. The enhancing the memory is the point. So the point was that when they were testing in a laboratory situation, these 3 groups, study, test, and repeated studying and repeated testing group, all learned the same amount. But that testing group, they learned 6 times less. They were tested, not taught. So the learning curves were identical, and on the other hand, the test group, they remembered longer what was learned. Okay, this was the theoretical part. Practical background is that they made the same design in several faculty, university faculties, and the results are the same. The greater the number of tests, the greater the difference between the groups. So we made, I made a proposal. Could we make this kind of thing? And the 2 aims, one was, can we replicate the result in biblical Hebrew, as we have been, or they have been able to do it in some other areas. When we are in a real-life situation, when we administer dissimilar tests in a laboratory, they are giving the same test 10 times. But now we are administering different tests and gradually increasing the level of the difficulty. And it's biblical Hebrew, and there is no connection for the spoken language as you there. And secondly, the aim was to reveal profiles of the students' proficiency levels, and I will come that I will keep that later. Design was a bit complicated. There were two sets of two experiments, normal group and intensive group. And the experiment effect was that we are giving tests. Every time, every lesson we gave small test. 3 groups didn't get any feedback. That is purely test effect. They got the test, they made the test, they gave the test back, and we are going further in the lesson. 1 group get the feedback. Of course, this is a bit unethical design, because we knew that it would be much better to give the correct answers. But on the other hand, we didn't take anything out of the normal lessons, so it was kind of additional activity in the lessons. 2 notes. 1 note is that we need to remember that all the students get the same course, same teacher, at the same time and in the same manner, all the groups. The only thing was the 10-minute test in the middle of the sessions. In the first group, twice a week, and in the intensive group, 3 times a week. The second notion is that although the students were randomly assigned for these groups, because we were in the real-life situation, we cannot know how much they are spending time in lesser time, how they study, the level of interest, this kind of things. It's usually in this kind of designs. Some words about the tests. I gave you the last test, so you can check it. If you give the test to your students and mark it, 1 point for each question, 0 and 1, either it's correct or not. And you check the last page. There is the no, I show you. On the last page you can see the mark, how many marks your students are getting. Let's say a guy who gets 52 points, all correct, are at the level where the normal standard distribution would be 4.4, far more better than the average. We can say that the average, the average boundaries would be somewhere there 2.9, so 2.6 actually. So if you get 43 points, then you are over the average. You belong to that 5% of normal distribution, which is so good that they are not average anymore. So you can check it. So 43 points in this test means that you are so good that you are very good. During the process, we made 36 tests, about 500 items. 70% were objective type, multiple choice type of question, 28 about short answer type, and 2% of larger translations, longer sentences. And it covered wide range of biblical Hebrew skills, beginning in the beginning, recognizing letters, to quite demanding style type of thing. Do you recognize that this is prophetic style, and this is singing style, this is narrative style, this kind of things, and also recognition of verbs, suffixes, normal type of thing. I'm not talking about IRT, it takes time, but if you are very interested in that part, please come to me. But the point is that all the tests were linked together. So there were always similar items in the tests. About 40%, almost half of the items were the same every time. And because of this linking matrix design, linking way of doing it, we were able to use IRT modeling. We were able to estimate the proficiency level of the students during the process, and the sample-free item parameters, especially difficult because we were making it this RAS modeling. Okay, no problem if you don't get it all. So what we learned, 10 lessons. First, by repeated testing, students learn more. There is experimental group and control group. The effect size is very high, meaning that one or more. The experiment explained 18% of all the variation, which is very high. Usually in this area, for example, gender or sex explains sometimes 4%. And boys and girls are at a different level, not in biblical Hebrew, but usually in educational business. So the gain score is remarkable. This was the first set of the first experiment, and the other one, which was tested from the very beginning to the very end. The range is high in both groups, but it's about 1.4 standard points, which is very high value. The second lesson, the main gain happens during the first 8 lessons. After that, it's just trying to keep there. And it comes with the learning the letters and some basic idea how we are manipulating this language. And then there are some other things which are coming. But if you check the learning curves, after 8th lesson, there is raising, but it's very mild compared to the very beginning. I remember this phase. It was very, very giving. Yes, I understand this. Hey, I can read this. Third one, the learning profiles are dramatically curvilinear. The learning is not steadily growing, but there are times when you are really in the deep kind of valley of death, I would say. Here we can see the experimental group, and because in the first test only the experimental group kept the test, we don't know how the other group worked, but it seems that